Dynasty dogs run fast.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into my dog's favorite podcast, the Dynasty Dogs, brought to you by the double FU for you. That is the fantasy football universe. How are you this evening, Rich? Welcome back. It's been a little while.
Hello. It has been. How are you?
Good, good. I forgot to do my Richism for the day. That today is going to be, he used to sign autographs as Justin Bieber back in high school. Little known Rich McAteer fact.
Jesus, I did a couple times, twice. They might have been drunk. I don't know. It was at a Phillies game, so.
Well, tonight we got a lot to go over. We got a lot of NFL news that has happened pretty rapidly this past week, as the season is in about 6 days from now. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys in Philadelphia. We also have college football going on right now as well. So we are jam-packed with football. Rich, how you feeling? Are you getting the juices flowing a little bit?
I am, dude. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch one single snap of college football. I forgot about it, but I am just looking forward to the NFL season. Can't get here quick enough.
Yeah, thankfully. And I mean, you still have some to watch tonight. Once you get done this episode, you could jump on. There's a couple games going on, especially right now. Yeah. So let's get into our first bit of news. We're going to go into our That Bites segment as soon as I can find the. Oh, hold on. There we go. And we will go with the first part, which is, let's talk about the Micha Parsons trade to the Green Bay Packers. I know we don't always talk about the defensive side of the ball, but I really think this has a lot to do with fantasy football, in my opinion, as well, because how bad this Dallas Cowboys defense is going to be without Micha. He was traded to Green Bay for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, defensive tackle. Rich, how are you feeling about this move, other than Eagles parts?
I feel great. I feel like it was a great move that Dallas did. Dallas made such a good move. I think it really helped the the Dallas Cowboys. No, what a jackass Jerry Jones is. It's fantastic to watch them burn. Yeah. I love it. You trade away arguably the best defensive end edge rusher that anyone has ever seen.
Just one of the best defensive players in all of football in general, too.
At 26 years old, for a 30-year-old defensive tackle, granted he is a 3-time Pro Bowler, but a 30-year-old at that, and 2 first-round picks, which, if Green Bay has anything to say about it, are going to be late first-round picks. And we know that Dallas sucks at drafting. So,
have they said what those first are? Because I couldn't find that. Is it 2026 and 27, or is it 26 and 28? I haven't seen.
I didn't see that. I didn't see it, but it's awesome though. I love it, and it also it helps on both ends because Green Bay, who is anti-tush push, so they can fuck off. That kind of handicaps them with that giant contract, along with Jordan Love's contract. So they're going to be in cap hell very, very soon, which is always a plus. And of course, what it brings to Dallas or takes away from Dallas.
It's also funny that Dallas traded him to a team in the Green Bay Packers who has historically just been a thorn in the side of the Dallas Cowboys. They knocked them out of the playoffs last year. Aaron Rodgers just frequently destroyed them year in and year out. Brett Favre, too. It's actually kind of funny. It just almost feels like Jerry Jones has pretty much lost it, and I think we could all kind of agree on that.
Well, we've seen this before. We've seen this before in Oakland when Al Davis was running the show in through his 150 years that was alive, and he ran them into the ground, and they still haven't recovered. So I see a lot of that in Dallas with Jerry Jones running the team into the ground, and you're not going to get a complaint from me.
Well, I also think this does pretty good things for the Green Bay Packers, right? That former playoff team has just really solidified that defense with Quay Walker, Micha Parsons, and those guys. I think that's a pretty decent defense, and that offense is continuing to grow. But what I mentioned about how this could affect dynasty or fantasy in general is this is almost like the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Where they have no defense whatsoever, or a defense that they haven't really paid or taken care of. Now Micah's gone. The Dallas Cowboys are going to have to throw the football to stay in football games, in my opinion. They're going to have to be in plenty of shootouts. I think Dak for redraft and dynasty contending teams is a really good option. I think he could get back into the top 10. CeeDee Lamb, we all know he's one of the best wide receivers in football, as much as we hate to admit it as Eagles fans. And I really think George Pickens, as much as you hate him, is a nice option for this.
Oh, God. You're taking George Pickens over everyone. Over Jerry Rice, over
probably. I mean, Jerry Rice at 56 or 60 some odd years old, probably. Yeah, for sure. I saw him drop a pass at San Francisco's game the other day. Did you see that? They had him running around and he dropped it.
Who, Jerry Rice?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
I don't know why they would do that to him. Why would you put him out there like that?
I don't know. But speaking of Rice, real quick, I tweeted out the other day. I said it'd be really, really Philadelphia for the Eagles to sign Jerry Rice's son. What's his name? Brendan Rice, one of those. And he was in Philadelphia for a workout. So
was he? I missed that.
But yeah, Philadelphia notoriously gets they always get the guy with the last name. They get we had Mike Maddox, they had Greg Maddox, Casey Matthews over Clay Matthews. We had Jeremy Giambi, rest in peace, not Jason Giambi. It's just a long laundry list of players that we had the opposite star of, and it's gone through pretty much since sports were created here. But I thought that was funny. But back to Micah, I think, and Dallas. I don't know. I think a lot's going to do with the play calling, the coach that they have down there, which is first time head coach down there. So I don't know. I'm not too sure it's going to be all cut and dry, throw the ball. We got to see what kind of play calling he has.
Yeah, I just don't think they really have the running. I mean, I talked about it last week in the NFC episode. They don't really have the running game at all. Javonte Williams is pretty much toast at this point. Miles Sanders is definitely toast at this point. Jaden Blue.
Did you see all the tweets he was putting out there?
No.
About he was going to make everyone pay in Philadelphia.
That was actually fake. I know what you're talking about. Those were not actually real. Yeah, those were not actually real Miles Sanders tweets. I fell for it too originally, but Jaden Blue is currently hurt. This is a backfield that I'm staying away from in general, like I talked about last week. But the pass catchers, even I almost said Terrence Ferguson, Jake Ferguson is a very interesting option because I really do think the play calling is what it is, but they are going to have to stay in football games. And the only real way you could do that is by throwing the football, right? So the NFC East continues with its major news. And it's something I talked about last week as well, that the Commanders needed to pay Terry McLaurin, and they did. They backed up the Brinks truck, 3 years, $97 million. Rich, what do you think this means for his dynasty value?
Well, I never really wavered away from him, his value going down. I always liked Terry McLaurin. Pretty much, I picked him every year in redraft, but I think it pretty much even solidifies him as one of the top wide receivers you can get. As far as making a move, he's not the top tier guy, but he's always a solid guy. He's not a guy who's going to break the bank in terms of what you'd have to give for him, but he always has production. I don't think he's ever had a year that he kind of let me down. So he deserves this, I think.
Yeah, he was definitely one of those guys that never let you down, but you always wanted more from, and it was kind of the quarterback play that held him back, right? He's always been a consistent mid to low end wide receiver 2, even high wide receiver 3 in fantasy points. Then last year just completely exploded with Jaden Daniels as quarterback, right? So Jaden gets to keep his number one option. Pretty much, in my opinion, still the only pass catching option on that team. Because I don't believe in Deebo Samuels. Like I said, I think Zach Ertz can still be something, right? And then you got Bill Krosky-Merritt or Jakari Krosky-Merritt that everybody's all hype on right now.
Yeah.
I don't really know how I feel about him, to be honest with you. He seems like a good story. He seems like a good running back. I think people are putting the cart before the horse on this one.
I don't know, because why would you trade Brian Robinson? Why would you trade him away if you didn't believe in him?
So the thing is, for me, it was weird when they drafted just a few years ago Chris Rodriguez, the guy who was pretty much just a Brian Robinson clone, right? In between the tackles, strong power runner. They kind of how do I say this? Danced around with his contract a little bit. They released him. They brought him back, released him, brought him back. They just keep bringing him back, and they did it again, and then they ended up trading Brian Robinson. So I think some of that has to do with it. I think they liked what they saw out of Krosky Merritt, which I do agree with you. I definitely think that had something to do with it. And then I think Austin Eckler, if healthy, is still a competent-ish pass catching.
He's 150 years old.
Yeah, I mean, he's just good at catching the football at this point, right? So they need somebody out there that's not Terry McLaurin.
He's never stayed healthy, so I don't really put too much stock in him.
Are you going out to acquire Terry McLaurin, or do you think he's kind of at the point now where he's almost, I don't want to say unobtainable, but his price is probably going up slightly after
his price is going to be way too high. He's someone I'd love to have on my team, but he's going to be way too high.
Yeah, I know up until last week, I mean, up until this deal, he was about a late first. It's probably jumped up slightly to almost a mid at this point. But he is still 29 years old, right? So he's probably got, the end of this deal is probably it for him. At least 2 years into this deal is probably it for him from a, receiving aspect of getting just up there in age and stuff like that. So if I am a contender and I have like the 1.8 to 1.9 pick pretty regularly, and I think Terry McLaurin could put me over the hump, I'm willing to do that. Even if I get a third on top of it, I'd feel all right with that. What about you?
Yeah, I would be, just because I know what kind of player he is. I know he's going to, if I need a solid 13, 15 points, he's going to give me that.
Or 30, because we've seen it.
Yeah,
especially last year.
It's like his floor, I feel like his floor is like 15.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What more can you ask?
And people keep talking about this touchdown regression, or scoring less touchdowns, because he had, I think it was 10 or 13 last year, which is higher than his norm. His norm is usually about 5. But, I did the math. Even if you took off a decent amount of touchdowns and dropped it down to his norm, he's still a top 24 wide receiver for fantasy. So that's still extremely productive, still extremely solid. I'm still all the way in on Terry McLaurin. So let's move into the next bit of news. And this is something.
I thought you were going to move. I thought you were moving on from the news. I had a piece of news too. Later after.
You want to give it what it is now?
No, it doesn't. It's not even. It's not big. It's just
pause.
There we go. Yes. No, we have to touch on the fact that our guys got picked up by our team. I wanted to say that it's just some minor news. Javon Baker, your boy.
No. I have it here at the bottom.
Do you? Oh, look at me just blowing everything apart.
What?
Look at me just blowing everything apart.
Yeah. You're the first way you said that. I almost got it, but you caught yourself. All right. Rashee Rice, 6-game suspension. I know you said you talked about this with somebody. You are slightly concerned about his dynasty value. This kind of I don't want to say came out of nowhere, because originally the first conversation we heard was that he would find out on September 30th how long his suspension is going to be. And now all of a sudden it just popped up 2 days ago. I don't know how that happened. I guess maybe they were conversating and were like, hey, if you accept 6 games, that's going to be it. I
think that's what happened. I think he accepted it or something, just because it's like, okay, well, I'd rather accept it in the beginning of the season than September 30th and then fucking 6 games off of then when you're like in prime playoff race. So I guess kind of miss the beginning of the season, come back for the long haul.
Yeah, how are you feeling on his dynasty value? Because I think you said you were talking to somebody about it.
Yeah, I was trying to make a move for him, but the guy wanted an arm and a leg, and it's just like I'm saying, like it does hurt his dynasty value, and going back and forth. No, it doesn't. It doesn't hurt. I'm like, it does, because Jalen Royals is going to create cohesiveness with Patrick Mahomes. Every other guy is going to have a 6-game jump on creating a quote unquote like best friend with the guy. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you get in a lockstep with a guy over 6 games, it's hard to just jump back and be like, hey, I'm the number one guy. I think, it does. It's not like he's going to be, oh shit, he's, unusable, but it's just a fact that it's going to create more cohesion with the other guys, and he's going to be left in the wind.
I like that you mentioned Jalen Royals. Unfortunately, today I saw that he's going to miss week 1 with knee tendonitis or patella tendonitis, which sucks. That's a sucky injury. It's not something that's going to last. It's just going to be more of an annoyance and like something you have to just work through, right? But it looks like he will miss the first week. I don't know. I'm not necessarily afraid of Rashee Rice from a dynasty aspect. I do think what you said about cohesion with other players could be huge. Like if Jalen Royals was available, he would be one. I think Xavier Worthy could really take the next step in this time frame and show that he's more than just a deep threat. Because I really do believe he is a better wide receiver than what we've seen, more than just a gadgety guy. And I think throughout Andy Reid's tenure, we've seen rookie wide receivers or rookie players in general, kind of be more of a gadgety dude until Andy Reid is ready to let them loose, And I could really see that with Xavier Worthy. I'm very excited for him. The other worry I have with Rashee Rice, especially this year, is that you are taking a full year off of playing professional regular season football because his injury in week 4, that knocked him out for the whole season. Now he has a 6-game suspension coming on top of the beginning of this season. That's a full year he hasn't played football. So he played in the preseason, but that's preseason. You're not doing anything.
That doesn't mean anything. You're running up. Yeah. I mean, it affects you regardless of if people want to admit it or not. It affects, the way you're running, the way you're moving. A whole year without getting smoked across the middle by a linebacker is a big
or by your own quarterback, because that's what happened to him. That's what happened to him this time. I am interested to see what it looks like when he comes back, because this, I mean, in theory, when he's available, this is the best pass catchers that Patrick Mahomes has had in several years, going back to him and Kelsey and Hill together. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Who really takes the next step? Is it Jalen Royals in week 2? Is it Xavier Worthy? Is Travis Kelce? Actually, going off of this, do you think Travis Kelce is a really nice sneaky buy, especially for Dynasty?
Travis Swift, you mean? No, I think he's cooked, honestly.
Really? You won't even give up a 2 for him in tight end premium?
He didn't show me shit last year. He looked like he fell off a cliff. No,
I think
I feel like if you look at it this way, tight end premium, like in if you gave up one this year, what tight end could you have gotten in the second round this year? I think Loveland went in the second round in our draft. I think Warren went
in some drafts.
You know what I mean?
You saw that. I think more you saw of the Terrence Ferguson's, Mason Taylor's in the second round in most leagues, especially towards I think right after the draft, you kind of saw Loveland go at like 2-1 sometimes. Mostly, I think like 111.
I'd rather take any one of them.
Really, even the Mason Taylors and Terrence Ferguson.
I mean, I love Terrence Ferguson, but Mason Taylor's a tight end 1.
I will say, unrelated, I haven't heard like a single thing about Terrence Ferguson. To be honest,
neither have I.
I'm like, where did he go?
It's just all like how decrepit fucking Matt Stafford is. I'm like, dude, he's like 17 years in. What do you think?
Yeah. I would be interested in maybe throwing a second-round pick, mid to late second-round pick for Travis Kelce and tight end premium, especially if he can help me for this first 6 weeks. I think he's going to be pretty used often in the middle of the field like he's been throughout his career. But without Rashee Rice, that just opens things up slightly more.
Put it this way. If you're moving for a guy that can help you, I had Jonnu Smith in my starting lineup. Fucking Jonnu Smith. All right? That's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're giving up – a 2 is good value. 2 is right as, the dart throws are about to begin. I think at 3, you start to take flyers on guys. But 2, you really have an idea of who you could really get in the second round. And I wouldn't move it.
Here's a good one. Would you rather have Kyle Pitts or Travis Kelce?
Pitts or Travis Kelce.
I'll be shocked if you say Pitts, to be honest with you.
I know.
Even for dynasty purposes, I think I'd rather still have Kelce for another year.
Yeah. I think it's like they're really close just because the production has been like, what the fuck, dude? Like, he fell off a cliff, and Kyle Pitts is, this is his year this year. That's his year every friggin' year. He says the same thing every year.
We'll talk about Kyle Pitts here shortly. Yeah. We're going to talk. I'm doing the Atlanta Falcons, so I'm going to talk about Kyle Pitts at some point today. The last bit of news that I have, I thought it was pretty interesting. I kind of wish he would have stayed in Carolina, I think. I'm not too sure how I felt about it. Adam Thielen traded to the Minnesota Vikings. How are you feeling about this? Are you feeling that this is a good safety blanket for J.J. McCarthy, especially with the the suspension of Jordan Addison, the slow start to Justin Jefferson, even though I'm not really worried about him whatsoever?
I know
Is this someone you're interested in late in drafts, or even just like a?
He's just like a me. I'm not. I mean, yeah, like a pick. I mean, I'd rather give up like a fourth than like draft a fourth for him. But I think what they're doing in Minnesota is they're kind of surrounding JJ McCarthy with veteran guys. You've seen them bring in Carson Wentz. You're seeing them bring in Adam Thielen. They're bringing in older guys to kind of corral the locker room, I think. And Adam Thielen's always been solid, at least there. Carolina was a shit show because Carolina.
He looked good until he got hurt, though.
Yeah, I mean, but they got a lot of kinks to figure out down there. But I'd move a fourth for him.
Like even a late third.
Desperately wanted a fourth.
Yeah, or a late third, I would throw it just to see what happens. If he can give you, some flex play every now and again, right? It could happen. I was interested to see how he would have looked with the young wide receivers in Carolina, but I also think that this boasts the cokeheads, the Jalen Cokers. I think this is huge for him. Last year, he was 32 receptions, 478 yards, 2 TDs in 11 games. Got a slow start.
Good thing I don't have to pick him for my dog tag. Good.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll hold on to that.
It's not. No, it's not. I was going to, but
listen. If you would have had me pick the Carolina Panthers, he probably would have been up there for me. I think this is a 6'1", 200 some odd pound, decent sized wide receiver who can play in the slot. That's kind of what they rotated him with last year. Yeah. Adam Thielen's been a guy who's been rotating his career through the slot and outside. So I think Jalen Coker is the Adam Thielen replacement, right? So this could be really interesting to see what this offense looks like. I'm really excited for Jalen Coker. I wish I had one share of him. I had 0 in any of my leagues. I did like him, after I didn't know really anything about him during the draft. He was undrafted. He wasn't somebody that was on my radar. But then there started to be some buzz, and I was like, oh, okay. Then everybody's starting to waiver claim, and I'm just way too late on it. So that's what could happen, right? I think this is a very savvy move for a young wide receiver core that they have in Carolina with Leggett, McMillan, and Jalen Coker.
Agreed.
And this is one of the teams you also like too in Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So this is the last bit of news we wanted to talk about. Were there any waiver claims or waiver pickups that interested you at all?
Aldrich Estime, baby.
Oh yeah,
he's here. Yeah. He's here. He is here. I'm pumped.
AJ Dillon, count your days.
Count your fucking days, dude. No, I'm excited, dude. I wanted him over Will Shipley. I liked him out of Notre Dame. I just think he was in kind of a shitty situation in Denver. They had a packed room. Here, not so much. I don't think it's packed at all.
I thought you really were hyped about AJ Dillon.
No, I mean he's all right, but I don't think he's a 1-year deal guy. I don't think he's going to be the 2, where I think Estime could be the 2 eventually behind Saquon.
I think he's a good complement to like a Will Shipley. I think he could be the 3rd guy, right? Just in between the tackles, goal line, like taking AJ Dillon's spot. I think he could absolutely do that. Then you mentioned Javon Baker also signed with the Philadelphia Eagles to their practice squad.
Your boy.
It looked like he was really really making a name for himself on special teams in New England, and it seemed like they wanted to bring him back after he cleared waivers, and he chose Philadelphia. Maybe he just wants to win. So yeah, it could be interesting. My waiver pickup that kind of interested me was Raheem Sanders to the Cleveland Browns. A power runner, right? This is a team that needs one after Quinshon Judkins is still unsigned. That's starting to get a little. What's that?
I read something that he might go back to play in college or something, but Cleveland would own his rights or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work.
That's weird
with that. But Raheem Sanders going to Cleveland to me is very interesting. They don't really have anybody. I like Dylan Sampson. I think Jerome Ford is solid, but they don't have that Quinshon Judkins, that Raheem Rocket Sanders. I liked Sanders' pre-draft evaluation. He wasn't like someone I had high up, someone I had real low. He was kind of a middle tier, lower end kind of guy for me, but just a solid back, right? He kind of lost some steam in the Devy community because after his freshman season, he looked really good, but then he put on like 30 pounds of weight and then looked like absolute dog shit But then he started.
He looks fine. Who cares if he put 30 pounds on?
He really turned it around this past year in South Carolina. So that's a sneaky one. If somebody cut him after he was cut by the Los Angeles Chargers, I would put in a waiver claim for him. If you have him on your taxi squad, you could feel all right with that. Maybe he gets some run with Cleveland. I think this could just be an interesting situation on what happens with Quinchon. That is the biggest thing, because if he's not on the team to start the season, you could see Sanders get moved up from the practice squad. Rocco, how you doing, buddy? How's it going? But Rich, would you like, since we haven't seen you in quite a bit on the Dog's Favorite podcast, do you want to start us off, and who do you want to go with? Whoa, Rich just disappeared on me. That's not great. All right. Well, I don't really know what happened, so I am going to continue on. I will go with, let's see here. I will go with the Atlanta Oh, Rich is back. Thank God.
What happened?
I don't know. What, you just disappeared on me, and I just blabbered on for a few seconds there.
I went to like zoom out of full screen so I could pull my notes up, and it was just like, "You're out of here."
Actually, real quick, Sanders asked Rocco asked a question. Sanders or Jordan James? I imagine he means Raheem Sanders. That's James. A tough one. I think
not for me, dude. Christian McCaffrey always gets hurt, dude. But
Brian Robinson there?
No.
I think Brian Robinson's there. I mean, I think Jordan James is the third running back there because Garendo sucks. I've been saying that. If you go back to our running back sells episode, Garendo was mine. I didn't believe in him at all. I think I prefer Jordan James here over Sanders. I had him ranked higher pre-draft. Maffa, absolutely not. I have no interest in Phil Maffa. That goes back to the Dallas Cowboys running back situation, who I have no interest in. So Rocco, I will go with Jordan James on this one. There's a guy I really liked, kind of do it all kind of back, kind of like a Bucky Irving light type back, which I like in a situation where when he gets an opportunity, and he might with the injuries ahead of him, I would stash Jordan James over Sanders. Now, Rich, before you just disappeared on us, who do you want to go with first?
I'll do Carolina.
Carolina, dog tag or dog house first?
I'm going to go dog tag, and that's going to be the person I could listen to read me the phone book, and that's going to be Xavier Legette. Now, Xavier Legette, God, I love listening to that guy talk.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's going, his ADP is 193 on the nose. He's going around Demario Douglas at 196, your boy Wan'Dale Robinson, 192, and Dante Thornton at 214. Here's a guy, he had an underwhelming rookie year. But I feel like that has a lot to do with the dumpster fire that was Carolina. He had 4 games in double digits, right? That's not something to write home about. But at 193, a second-year wide receiver, a team that just took a top wide receiver at what pick did they have? 4?
10, I think it was.
10. They took him at 10?
Okay. I think he was a top 10 pick at least.
I thought he was 4, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And in Tet McMillan, I think Tet's going to really open the field for him and kind of, show everyone that he can get out. The double coverage is going to be obviously McMillan, which is leaving him wide open. You did mention Coker, who is going to be a factor in the offense, but I think Xavier Legette can take off from that and be the solidified number 2 there. And at 193, I'm taking a flyer on him. You could probably get him for a early third-ish.
Yeah, late second at the most.
Yeah, but right around where you would take flyers on a guy, and I think I would take a flyer on him because of the factor of Tet McMillan opening the field for him. This year, he doesn't have to be the number 1 guy. He doesn't have to be wide receiver 1 in Carolina. I think that pressure was a little much for him, but now that he's the number 2, I think he'll kind of find his way.
Yeah, I like Legette. I don't know who the number 2 is on that team right now. Is it Legette? Is it Coker? I think from a talent aspect, just from what I've seen, it's Coker, but I think Legette, is an underrated kind of like explosive player who can, take a 5-yard drag route to the house because he's just really good after the catch, strong after the catch type guy. I think they'll be used well. Do you think Bryce is good enough? Honestly, I could have sworn your dog tag was going to be Bryce Young. Do you think Bryce is good enough to get all three of these wide receivers to be semi-fantasy relevant?
I think so. I mean, he's been developed. I think it's a slow development for him, kind of a slow burn, but he has been getting better. I don't think he's regressed by any means, but I mean, by his rookie season, you couldn't get much worse than that. But I think he's going up since. So I think he can, and I think given the bona fide one in McMillan, I think that really will, show you what Bryce Young has.
Yeah, so Rocco brings up the 6-year breakout for Leggett. There were some factors into what happened with Leggett in college, some injuries, some losses in his family. So you can't – there are some reasons these things happen, but I understand. Yeah, I don't know. My dog's knocked over the gate, I guess. There are some reasons why things like that happen, but I definitely understand the thought process behind that. Usually 5th, 6-year breakouts are the ones that don't always hit in regards to fantasy football purposes. To me, I think I lean Coker over Leggett as of right now. But if Leggett starts breaking off big plays, I think that could absolutely change the trajectory. And I like what they are doing in Carolina right now.
So do I. I mean, I was looking at their drafts this last season, and I'm like, they kind of should have taken at least one offensive lineman, and they took like nothing. They took like 3 edge rushers. They took like a linebacker. They took wide receiver. They took Horn.
Jimmy Horn Jr. Yeah,
Jimmy Horny. Do you think Leggett was drafted too high when he was coming out?
Yeah, slightly. He was a late first-round pick. I didn't see that. I thought maybe it's obviously like when you say late first-round pick to a second-round pick, it doesn't seem like a huge drop or a huge difference. I just didn't see him being a first-round talent. Like in reality, if you go back, they took him over Ladd McConkey, right? Look how bad that looks right now, right? But the Patriots also took Jalen Polk over Ladd McConkey, and really look how that has played out, right?
So, he's already out for the year.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he was on the roster bubble. He hadn't done anything in training camp at all because of injury. So he probably saved himself a job being on the IR for the season. Who is your dog house for the Panthers?
So my dog house is going to be that one Rico Dowdle.
Oh,
now
you liked
here's
Rico
a guy
last year, though.
Exactly. This is what I had to say about him. This was like a shocking move to me, at least. I thought he was going to stay in Dallas. And I thought he's kind of solidified. But I know I was taken by surprise. I thought he was going to stay in Dallas. He won the job. He was the number 1 running back there. He put up good numbers there. And then I guess they kind of went in a different direction, and he chose to go to Carolina where Chuba Hubbard takes 80% of the snaps. So I think he's going to go to Carolina, and he's just going to not see the field as much. Granted, it's a 1-year deal, but it's just so crazy to me that he went from a guy who I thought was going to sign an extension there that we were going to have to deal with for years, year in and year out. And then he just was like, nah, I'm going to go to Carolina and be a backup. And I'm like, to me, that's just not it. He's going to run guys. All 3 of these guys I would take over him, and Ollie Gordon at 191. Jalen Wright at
116 really right now.
Yeah. Jalen Wright, although he's hurt now, at 199, and Kareem Hunt, who seems to never go quietly. Rico Dowdle's 197.4. It's just really, it's like, I don't want to say, how the mighty have fallen, but in a sense, it's like, I definitely seen this guy as it's like a big bullet, and I'm like, thank God we dodged that one. You know what I mean?
I thought he would have been solid. To be honest, Chuba Hubbard is much better than anyone on the Dallas Cowboys roster right now. As a running back. So I think Rico would have been, at least the RB1 there to start the season, right? If anything went bad, they could have obviously went to Javonte or something. But
yeah,
I'm kind of with you. They drafted ETN in this past draft, Trevor Etienne. And then they have Jonathan Brooks, who's out for the season. Yeah. Good luck to him. That really sucks. Like 2
I know. I liked him a lot too, dude.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I was kind of mid on him just because of the ACL coming out of the draft. I was a little concerned. I think if he's healthy, I think he's going to get the opportunity to be the running back 2 on that team if and when he's healthy. So Dwaddle to me for a dynasty asset is pretty lukewarm. Like I'm not super interested. For a year, I might be interested because he could get some play, but anything after that, I'm out. Like I agree with you. I think he's a great sell. Would you sell him for like a third? What are you looking for right now?
Honestly,
probably a late third at that point.
Yeah, it's probably like I would take that. That's probably the lowest I would take for him. Just because he's a running back.
He might be a better during your draft type of move, like next season, if depending on what's happening.
Right, you kind of wait on the board and see how it falls, type deal.
Yeah. All right, well, I will go with the New Orleans Saints. And we forgot to mention at the top, and that bites now that I mentioned it, Spencer Rattler was named the starter.
Yeah, baby.
Which, I mean.
It's my rattlesnake.
Oh, well.
I got one share of him, as you kids call it. I've got one.
He's so
Guess what, dude? Listen to this fucking shithole. It's either Spencer Rattler or Will Levis, and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, I got no quarterback in my 2-quarterback league, and they're like, Spencer Rattler's starting. I'm like, yeah,
I win the shit. I win the toilet bowl.
I'm like, thank God.
I was kind of surprised by this because this isn't going into my dog tag, but I'm kind of surprised by this because they drafted Tyler Shuck in the early 2nd round. I like Shuck. Do
you think when he found out he was quarterback 2, he went, oh shucks.
All right, that's the end of this fucking episode.
Oh shucks.
I don't know. Like, I feel bad for Kellen Moore right now, right? With this team that they have.
Fuck him.
Dude, he's going to take that.
He chose that job.
True, he did.
No one made him go there. No one made him go to that shithole.
I mean,
we all knew what it was.
Job. You're going to take the head coaching job when you get offered it, right?
There? Ooh.
I guess. I mean, they're in the running for one of the top quarterbacks next year and maybe the year after. Who knows?
Yeah.
But my dog tag for this team is kind of a guy that is a little under the radar, has some flex appeal. Rashid Shaheed going at the 153.4 ADP. He was wide receiver 31 in points per game with 13.3 during his run last year. I believe it was 5 games he got to play before he got injured. A boom or bust type of player, 18.1 ADOT, yards per route run, 2.4. Rashid Shaheed ranked 5th in the top. Sorry, I can't talk. Rashid Shaheed was top 5 in wide receiver.
Today, Junior.
Top 5 in both average depth of target and deep targets rate last season. That shows that he has this big play ability. It's just going to depend on the quarterback situation. I do think, Rattler, I don't think he's great, but he is willing to put the ball in harm's way for big plays. And I think that really benefits a guy like Rashid Shaheed. And not only, I think, I mentioned the boom or bust type mentality. He was also a guy in that span that averaged 6.8 targets per game. So he was earning targets. Like that's a solid, almost 7 targets per game span. So I'm all right with that. His value currently is around a mid to late 2nd round pick for a guy that I could get me, 13 to 20 points per game at the drop of a hat, just because of he could take 175. I'm super interested in that. I have a lot of faith that this dude could be, especially in best ball where you don't have to set your lineups every single week. I think Rashid Shaheed could be a really nice piece just because of the big play potential and an underrated target earner. What do you think of Shaheed?
You know what? It's kind of a wide open wide receiver in there. So to me, like you said, it depends on the quarterback play. It's going to be a tumultuous season for them. Or, dude, what if Spencer Rattler comes out and he's like the dude he was before he transferred to South Carolina? Yeah, he at one point was a top quarterback prospect, wasn't he?
Yeah,
many moons ago. Where was he at? Texas Tech?
He was at Oklahoma.
Was he?
Yeah, and then Caleb
Okay.
Williams was there, and he lost that.
Okay. Yeah. So it's he was at one point he had some upside, but now it's like who knows? But I mean, he could go in there and he could be good. But is it likely? I doubt it. Um, but the wide receiver room is wide open. I think Bub Means, who had a good season last year, he's injured. I
IR.
think for the
IR.
He's on the yeah. So that's another guy he doesn't have to compete with. You have the skeleton of Brandon Cooks. He's somehow back there, and then you got Chris Olave, who is a sneeze away from his 79th concussion. So,
What about Chris Olave? He was almost my dog tag, to be honest with you, because there were times. I think if you and I go back into the Dynasty Dog records, I was a big time sell Chris Olave just because of the hype that was around him. His price has almost become affordable, right? The reason I went with Shaheed is because of the big playability, the non-concussion situation.
Yeah.
So I went with Shaheed here. I don't think Olave is a bad option at this point for what you could get him for, because people are terrified of that concussion situation.
Right.
Cooks is wide receiver 5. Yeah, probably. But you forgot to mention Devon Vele, who's there now.
Oh yeah, he was. What did they trade? A 4th-round pick for him?
A 4th-round pick, a 4th and a 7th.
Oh yeah,
which is like almost his dynasty value is a 4th and a 7th. But my dog house for the New Orleans Saints, and this is probably like a no shit type of thing, but right now he's the RB2 on that depth chart behind Alvin Kamara. It's Kendrick Miller, right? Every single year. And there are still people on Twitter that are hyping him up because, he has the RB2 spot right now. But this is a guy who was getting WWE type promos cut on him every single week.
I was going to say the dude that he's not there, the guy who fucking hates him.
Yeah, he got what's his name, Gus Bradley. Just absolutely destroyed him week in and week out. I am pretty much just done with him. Last year, I was trading him off for like Tank Bigsby, and that turned out pretty well for me. There is some still hype around him. When I went on Dynasty Daddy, I saw him for anywhere from between a 2nd-round pick to a 4th-round pick in trades. Yikes. So if you can still get that 2nd-round value for him, or even like a 3rd, I'm in on that. I've seen him as throw-ins on trades. It was tell me what you think of this? A 1st, a 4th, and Kendrick Miller for Jonathan Taylor.
It's pretty good.
I would take Jonathan Taylor in that one.
I don't know. I like the first round pick's intriguing.
But if Jonathan Taylor could make you a contender.
You know what? If you look, yeah, that's true. I take it back because in the first, he's probably worth at least a 1st and a 2nd at the very least. A 4th is nothing. Like Kendrick Miller, fart noise. You know what I mean? Like
nothing. And they drafted a guy in the 6th round this year who I really liked, who I believe you liked as well, in Devin Neal, who was injured in the beginning of this preseason, who did play one game. He looked just kind of like what I saw in college, just a very smooth operator, just not like a game breaker. He's gonna, yeah, that's what I was singing. I was watching. To be honest, I was singing that while I was watching it. It's pretty sad. He just is a guy who, to be honest, like I think could end up taking that RB2 spot from Kendrick Miller. I don't believe in him, man. It's just. Everybody wanted to give me shit about Marshawn Lloyd's injury, and of course he's hurt again. But Kendrick Miller's been Marshawn Lloyd for a year more than Marshawn Lloyd's been Marshawn Lloyd. So if you could still move Kendrick Miller for like a 3rd, I'm all about it. If you could get him or if you could trade him for a Devin Neal plus, I'm all over doing that. I think Devin Neal is a very sneaky player as long as he can stay healthy. And throughout his college career, he's been healthy. He's a guy who's been 1,000-yard running back every single year when he was at Kansas. So I don't really have fear that he's going to be hurt. So sell Kendrick Miller if you can, get Devin Neal somehow. Rich, tell us about the Bucs. Who do you want to sell?
All right. Oh, I almost exited again. Let me pull it up. I'm going to go with my dog house this time. And that's going to be on a guy that I thought would have been traded by now in Rachaad White.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was for sure getting moved, but his ADP is 153.5. He's going around Bashaw Tootin, Ray Davis, and Breland Allen. To me, he's just a guy, who had a few good games, and I thought he was going to get moved. I for sure was like, all right, this guy's getting moved. He's not going to be there. It's Bucky Irving. I almost said Bucky Larson. Bucky Irving's room. And I kind of see them going in a younger direction with Irving and Tucker. Listen to this. He had 3 solid weeks last season. He played in the top 5. He finished anywhere from running back 2 to running back 52 in last season. He was running back 2 or as low as 52. And for me, that inconsistency, no, that's consistent as pigeon shit in New York City, dude. I cannot imagine having that on my team.
Pretty consistent?
No, it's inconsistent to spots. It's always all over the place.
Okay. Because I thought you meant the amount of shit.
Connect with me.
Okay,
no,
I can't.
Come on. I'm here. You got to get here. Just that inconsistency, I can't deal with it. I'd move him for whatever I could. I feel like the Bucs themselves are trying to move off him. I feel like I've been hearing him get moved for like
Bucky and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's exactly. There's a reason. There's a reason he plays there. I just feel like they've been trying to move off him for quite some time, and I feel like you should too.
Yeah,
so
I'm surprised they didn't.
Because Tucker with that guy, what's his name? Sean Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a few solid games. I mean, not anything to write home like, oh my god, he's great, but like he's 23 years old.
Yeah, he's
Bucky Irving's
24.
yeah.
Bucky
Irving's same. And then he's 26, which isn't old, but I feel like he's kind of the odd man out.
Yeah, I like Sean Tucker too. I didn't really love him coming out of college. A lot of people were super high on him. He did end up having like a heart condition, which ended up dropping him. I believe he went undrafted. So the Bucs ended up kind of getting a steal for that, right?
Yeah.
He was a highly productive college running back. I think this is Bucky Irving's job at this point. So I agree with you. I mean, we're obviously saying no duh things with like the Kendrick Millers, the Rashad Whites, but like these are people that dynasty players and fantasy football players are still hopeful for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Bucky will see a larger snap percentage this year than he's seen in years or last year. We'll see more of a pass catching work than he's seen because I think Bucky was capped that way because of Rashad White, his ability to catch the football. I think Bucky Irving, and I've been saying this, been pounding the table for it. He is a better running back than Rashad White ever was, in my opinion, even coming out of college. Who is your dog tag for the Buccaneers?
So my dog tag is going to be one K. Dotton.
Oh!
It's kind of a surprise.
Hold on, time out. Of all the pass catchers you could have picked from the
dude, I tried not to do Mike Evans. Oh, I know we talk about Mike Evans all the time. I kind of tried to go with someone that you're not going to be like, Chris Godwin. He's coming off an ankle injury. Let's pick Chris Godwin. I like Chris Godwin a lot. He's going around Mbuka, so it's like I feel like a lot of people are going to go, I'm going to go Mbuka, but there's a lot of guys that are like no shit. That's why I didn't pick them. I went with K. Dotton, who is I feel like a young up-and-coming tight end. He's improving each year in a kind of a position that everyone kind of forgets about. I feel like people, forget about the tight end position, especially myself, because I'm turning around. I'm like, who the fuck do I draft? And guess who it is? I get stuck with Kyle Pitts. So K. Dotton's a guy to me. He's going at 194. He's going around guys like Mike Gesicki, Darren the Rapper Waller, and I don't want to butcher his name, Chig. Yeah, he's going around him at 190, who I think Gunnar Helm eventually takes that spot.
Now you want to like Gunnar Helm.
Hey, I'm calling it like I say him, dude. If he's just open and honest and he hurts his foot, tell the Titans you hurt your foot. You know what I mean? Don't be an idiot. But let's see, he had 5 games in the top 5 last year. I think that kind of increases. We know Baker loves to throw the ball. He's going to throw the ball 9 million times this year. And I think that only logically that produces catches for him. And he's only, I think he's like 26 years old, 25 years old, something like that. He's a young tight end that you could pick up late.
Yeah. See, K. Dotton is confusing because I do see, what he did last year in points, especially without Godwin got hurt. I know the amount of times that Baker Mayfield throws the football. I kind of mentioned that last week or 2 weeks ago when I talked about Godwin being a decent buy for the second half of the season. K-Dot to me, it's just confusing right now with those pass catchers. You got Mike Evans, you got Emeka Buka, you got Godwin, Jalen McMillan when he comes back. You got the 87 running backs that they have on that team that could all kind of catch the football. I do think Otten is a kind of guy, he falls in that ilk of like a Dalton Schultz who's just, gets open pretty regularly. And I honestly, I just mentioned all those names, and now as I'm thinking about it, maybe he's not bad. Maybe he's not a bad option because things could open up for him because of the emergence of the other pass catchers in that offense.
I feel like he's just a guy that I try to go around, the norm of all the guys that are going to be awesome on that team. And a guy like a tight end, like when you look at the list of tight ends, he's not in that list of, upper echelon guys. But I think in dynasty terms, he could have value this year and moving forward.
Where do you see his ceiling is for, like, let's say for this year, right? Where do you think he could finish in just, let's say, a points per game type realm?
Maybe like top 14, top 12.
Yeah, so I was just looking. Actually, he was tight end 12 last year, points per game with 10 on the dot. So I could see that dropping to like maybe 9.5, especially with the injuries. And that puts him at like tight end 16th or 18. And I think with the amount of pass catchers that they have, he's a really good, backup tight end. So I don't mind what you're saying. I actually kind of like it because, say you have a Brock Bowers, right, on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
K-Dot is a great secondary tight end for your team,
Sure.
right? Where you could,
right.
if Brock Bowers gets hurt, Brock Bowers has a bye week. K-Dot, you can plug in and maybe get 8 to 10 points out of him and feel pretty confident about that. So I like that option.
I feel like also, too, like when you're trying to analyze tight ends, it's such a hard position to analyze because, like you said, Brock
NFL
Bowers,
teams get it wrong all the time.
Oh, yeah, right. But like you say, Brock Bowers, Brock Bowers is obviously the number one pass catcher in Las Vegas. He's not like you can't. It's like hard to quantify his numbers compared to K-Dot, where you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka and Buka. You know what I mean? And then you have
does something to do with that too,
right? But he's the number one guy, just like Sam Laporta as well. Sam Laporta is going to be a top 2. Maybe he's going to be the second option. Maybe some will say third because they think Jameson Williams is going to be the second in Detroit. But it's like hard to quantify. Whereas wide receiver 1 is wide receiver 1 because it just that it's just I'm having trouble trying to say what my thoughts on how to get it out. You know what I mean? But like it's like you have the tight end who
he's a safety
Brock
blanket.
Bowers. Yeah, Brock Bowers gets wide receiver type targets and catches, whereas K-Dot is not going to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like hard. It's hard to put him in a slot where he's going to be.
If he ends up being like a Hunter Henry or a who's the other one? I just said it a few seconds ago, and now I can't remember who I said. If he ends up in that category, I think you're pretty happy. Just as a plug and play streaming tight end type situation, a backup tight end situation. I could absolutely see that because you mentioned it earlier. Baker Mayfield's going to throw the football, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to fucking sling it. And he did have a rapport with K-Dot. So I don't hate that. I actually kind of like that. When you said it at first, I was like, oh, there's a lot going on in Tampa Bay right now, right? So I do like that call out by you. But let me get into the Atlanta Falcons. And to me, I think the Atlanta Falcons are an ascending football team, right? I think they're bringing a different shout out to Salim the Dream. The Atlanta Falcons might be an ascending football team in the NFC South. I really like what they did in the draft with James Pierce Jr. and Michael Williams as edge rushers there. They got 2 new safeties that are both starting for that team now, so they must be pretty happy with what they've seen. But my dog tag for the Atlanta Falcons should be no surprise to you because I've been preaching him up all offseason. It's going to be one Michael Penix.
Michael Penis.
Yep. Oh, don't do that. He got very angry about that. Huh?
Well, I mean, I would too.
Yeah, true. And I think we underestimate the offensive coordinator that they have in Zach Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. This is a guy who was an assistant quarterbacks coach, assistant offensive coordinator for the Rams throughout his tenure there. Worked with Jared Goff, worked with Matthew Stafford, and who fits right into that prototype? That's Michael Penix, an all the arm talent in the world, a live arm, a rocket for an arm. I think this is the kind of guy that Zach Robinson can mold into a Matthew Stafford type of quarterback, right? And not for nothing, I do have a bet that he finishes top 15 in points per game with the fellow Fantasy Football Universe member, Spencer, that he ends up a top 15 quarterback this year. So I'm placing my bet on that. But let's not forget that they drafted him with a top 8 pick after backing up the Brinks truck for Kirk Cousins. So the Atlanta Falcons saw something in him and said, hey, Kirk might have another year or two. We need to get a guy now and stash him. But it turned out Kirk was not what they really probably hoped for last season.
No.
He was really bad. And then when Penix came in, the offense seemed a little fluid. Started 3 games at the end of the season. The offense looked all right. 2 of those games, he was double-digit points. The first game, against the Giants, he kind of chalked that one up, especially for a guy who had no time with the starters whatsoever throughout the year up until that point. You had, especially the biggest playmakers, had some of their best games. London with 3 games of double digits. Bijan had 2 games of 24-plus points, 1 game of 30-plus points. I think this offense is just – going to look so much different with Michael Penix at the helm. I think guys like Drake London, I think we talked about it on here, about to take the next step into the upper echelon. Darnell Mooney was almost my dog tag for this because that's an underrated guy who's just getting healthy at this point.
I think isn't Darnell Mooney out for the year, bro?
No, he's back.
Are you sure?
100%.
Are you? I thought he had a season-ending injury. I gotta look that up.
He just started practicing.
What the hell did he
shoulder
hurt?
Injury.
Maybe I'm getting someone else.
It happens. I mean, it happens to the best of us. I think this offense is ascending. I think, like I said, the Zach Robinson effect for a guy like Michael Penix is underrated. You could still get him in the mid to late first trade. But then you're also seeing him in ADP of 71.7 going around the vet quarterbacks like Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. If you have a young team build or a young competitive team build, I think Michael Penix is the great option for your QB2, who eventually could be a QB1, especially with the points he could put up. Because I see him like a Tua, right? Or like I said, a Matthew Stafford, a Jared Goff, who's just going to throw, 30, 40 some odd times a game, could throw for over 4,500 yards a season. That's the talent that I saw from him coming out of college in some of last year. I think you really like Penix too coming out of college.
I did, but does that mean Kyle Pitts is getting some of those yards to 4,500 yards?
Wrong. Dog tag Kyle Pitts or dog house Kyle Pitts. I put out a poll earlier today. Who is the number 2 pass catcher in that Atlanta Falcons offense? And it was unanimously Darnell Mooney, and that's who I thought it was as well. I just wanted to see where people were at with Kyle Pitts because there has been the positive swing about Michael Penix where he said, he's going to get fed targets this year. We're golfing buddies or something like that. There is starting to come that notion that this could be the year, but we've said that for three years now.
Yeah.
I think he's taken a backseat to Drake London as the primary option. Like I just said, I think he's taken a backseat to Darnell Mooney, who he had 100+ targets last year. That's huge for a second wide receiver. He had 11 in 2 games with Penix. Bijan is, the third option on that team, in my opinion. So that makes Kyle Pitts fall all the way behind in the pecking order to the 4th option at best on that team. And, maybe he could get relevant. He could be, tight end 9 to tight end 13 finish, right?
I think those guys, to be moved.
Yeah, those guys change every single year, right? When you look at the top fantasy scorers, tight end 9 through 13 is always somebody different, always somebody random, right? ADP at 107. His ADP is not bad, but he's going around, guys like David Njoku and Travis Kelce. And to be honest with you, I think I'd rather have David Njoku at this point.
Yeah,
I think Njoku is primed for a decent season, by the way. And by the way, all the rookie tight ends go around Kyle Pitts. And I think at this point, I might be
taking a flyer on him.
What's that? Yeah, he's just not.
You're taking the flyers on the tight end, yeah.
I actually made a move. I had Kyle Pitts several weeks ago. You might actually like this one because you hate both of the players that I'm trading away. So it's Kyle Pitts and George Pickens for Zay Flowers and Elijah Arroyo.
There you go, dude. You got your guy in Elijah Arroyo. And let me preface this. It's not like I hate Kyle Pitts. I really want him to be good. He's a Philly guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be good in Atlanta. George Pickens, on the other hand, I can't stand that fucking guy. See you later, dude. Sayonara. I'm trading him for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, I don't see the ceiling anymore for Kyle Pitts, especially with what they've added in Atlanta.
It's so weird because he's such a freak athlete, dude. He's like he's fucking chiseled, dude. He bulldozes people. He can catch the ball, but like
I don't know if they don't know how to use it.
We can't put everything together.
Yeah. It just hasn't clicked, except for his rookie season had over 1,000 yards, and then after that, it's just unreliable, like you mentioned. Tight end 14 and tight end 18 in points per game last year. Like you could find that anywhere. You could get fucking Hunter Henry. You get Hunter Henry to fucking do that for you. Yeah, right.
That's hot.
I don't know. I've been trying to be positive about Kyle Pitts this offseason. And I know for like the past several years, you've been saying, let's be done with Kyle Pitts. And I kind of agreed with you. And then Michael Penix became the quarterback. Then I started to really just look at things and how the team is set up right now. He is really just falling behind everybody else.
He needs if anyone needs a fresh start, it's him.
Yeah, for sure. Rich, that will just about do it. And since you've not been here, why don't you say goodbye to everybody?
All right. Adios, muchachos. You can follow me on X. See right there. And as always, men's mental health is important to us. We care about you. We love you. Thanks for listening. If you have any issues, personal or whatnot, you can always reach out to someone or us. Like I said, it's right here.
On the other
my
side.
DMs are open.
And
Mike's are over here. Follow my hand, Mike. Follow my hand. I'm passing to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm right here.
There you go.
Wait, no, I'm there. No, not just men's mental health. All mental health matters. Just remember that someone out there loves you. Someone out there cares about you. Make sure you're reaching out to someone. And for the double FU for you, the Dynasty Dogs, we will be back next week. We plan to go live Thursday before the Eagles game. I will be doing it. Rich may or may not. He's a newly scheduled man. We'll see what happens with that.
As you see me yawn 6 million times, yes, yeah. I'm very tired.
Yeah, we will be live on Thursday, or I will be. Hopefully Rich can join me because we're going to have a lot to talk about before that first game of the season. Finally, the NFL season is upon us. It's almost, the week before Christmas at this point. The fantasy offseason finally starts to matter, right? Where we've been talking these guys up or down all offseason.
Hell yes.
And all right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Peace.